Alrighty, for our final lightning talk of the day, talking about React Native and the Apple Watch. Can everybody give it up for Carlos Los Paelinck?
All right, so I'm going to talk about React Native and the Apple Watch. Now, React Native is a wonderful way to make native apps with JavaScript. But what you start to see with a lot of native apps now is they have Apple Watch companion apps, which kind of help the user get quick glances into data. So I'm going to briefly cover how does React Native communicate with an Apple Watch, and kind of how does that work. Well, Apple Watch apps are companion apps that are added to your iOS project directory within your React Native project. Apple Watch apps can only be installed if the user has your iPhone counterpart. They are not individual in that sense. Now, Apple Watch apps do require you to know WatchKit and Swift or Objective-C. And not too bad, but even though they are in the same project, they are two separate apps, meaning they need to have the same app group identifier, because iOS sandboxes apps, so apps don't talk to apps they shouldn't. So Apple provided a SDK called Watch Connectivity, and that's how iPhone and Apple Watch talk to each other. They use Bluetooth, and you can send messages, binary data, and in the background you can send files between iPhone and Apple Watch. So how does that look? Well, you've got your React Native app in JavaScript, then our React Native module, which is like the liaison between the two in Objective-C, and then you can do your Apple Watch app in Swift or Objective-C. So we've got three languages going here. So in our JavaScript, we're going to call our WatchKit module, which is just a React Native module, and then we're going to send some data on a dog. And this data we could get from our Redux, State, Flux, MobX, whatever you like. In your React Native module, you are going to use WC session, which is how you start a communication session between the two. And on the watch side, it will be in Swift. And a delegate essentially tells the class that you have assigned it to, hey, I'm going to have to respond to messages or files that the other app has sent. Now, how do you send a message? So we want to send that data on that dog through our React Native module to the Apple Watch. Well, we do that with if you've ever written a native module in Objective-C, it's pretty standard. So we have an NS dictionary, which is very analogous to an object in JavaScript. We send that to send message. We have an optional reply handler. So the Apple Watch can respond back. And then in the error handler, that's where we would handle things like if the Bluetooth is off, companion app might not be installed. So we want to notify the user if they're expecting that to be sent. And then finally, on the watch side in Swift, let's say we want to take that dog data from JavaScript and then load it into a native table view on our watch. So both the React Native module and the watch did receive message, and then we get that out of the payload, load a table view, and then that is how that communication works. And it is bidirectional, so both ways. Now, I have some demo videos of some screencastings of this working. So let's say on the left on our iPhone, we have a React Native app, fully JavaScript React Native. So as you can see, we have a list, and then when we select an item, we get a dog. So let's see that on the watch. So let's get our list data. So when we go and we launch the watch, we have when we launched the app, we told the iPhone, hey, I've launched, get my data from the Redux state, send it through the native module, and then load it on my watch. So that's pretty simple. Let's say we want to load some more dogs. So we go, hit more dogs, and we can see communication is pretty quick between the two devices. And one thing you want to be careful is how much, since it is over Bluetooth, how big of payloads are you sending? I would say recommend for images, use background services to send binary data. And then finally, let's say we want the watch to do something to the iPhone, our React Native app. So let's say we're on our watch and we want to learn more about a dog. We can launch that and say, show on iPhone. And then we have caused our iPhone to navigate, so we can control React navigation from our Apple Watch. So that's just a little demo of things you can do with Apple Watch and React Native. Other functionality you can get with the user's permission. You can get health kit data. So if you want on your React Native app to see workouts, you can start workouts, you can do that. You can get complications. Complications on Apple Watch are things that they add to their home screen, like calendar events, things like that. And so if you want to see this project in its full source, you can go to my GitHub or tweet me, and then see how those work together. Thank you.